I'm Brother Ignatius. I entered St. Joseph Abbey on Ascension Sunday, 2020, and I took temporary vows on Triumph of the Holy Cross on September 14th of 2021. So I've been at the Abbey for about 4.5 years now, and as far as getting here and discerning my vocation, growing up, my family, we always knew we were Catholic. I always knew that was an identity. But after my first communion, we didn't go to Mass with any regularity, didn't say grace or pray as a family. So it was really just kind of another label where I knew it was something that I believed in, but it was really abstract. It was really kind of not integrated, not practiced. So as I was finishing high school, I had a very distinct moment where I was going to sleep one night, and I didn't know there were monks at that time. I thought that was something like in Robin Hood, there's Friar Tuck. I thought it was something from the medieval period. But I had this moment where I thought, I think I'm supposed to be a priest. Just no context, never really thought about the priesthood or religious life before that. And so I spent about 10 years not doing anything with that moment. I went to college, got a bachelor's degree in English, moved to Biloxi to be close to some family. My dad and my grandparents were living in Biloxi. My mom lived in Pensacola. So I was in Biloxi trying to get my adult life started, trying to figure out whether to go to school for nursing, whether to teach. All throughout my life, I did all right, but there was always something missing. There was always a sense of, I'm looking at trying to have a secular career. Never really felt a particular urge to get married, never felt that positive call towards married life, even when I was dating a couple of women. So there's always a sense of there's something that there's a piece that's missing. And so I was probably 25, 26 years old. I started talking to this younger priest at my parish, and I told him, I know I'm Catholic, and I'm starting to go back to Mass on Sundays, but I really want to live the faith more intentionally, and I know I'm not doing that right now, so let's start with the foundations of building my prayer life, just living the basics well. And so this priest, and I think he knew what he was doing because he was the assistant vocations director for the Diocese of Biloxi. He told me to try Lectio Divina, which is a pretty major part of the personal prayer life for Benedictines. And since he and I had been talking for a couple months at that point, he said, you should try Lectio Divina, and you should start with John's Gospel. And it was another one of these really clear moments of just set my prayer life on fire with especially the prologue, the first part of John's Gospel. That was just a lightning bolt in my prayer life. So I keep doing Lectio Divina in my personal prayer life, and eventually he asked me the question a lot of young people get asked, have you ever thought about religious life? And I told him about that moment I had thinking, I think I'm supposed to be a priest, but not knowing what to do with that, and how I had just kind of tucked it away for 7-8 years. And so he told me, hey, this upcoming Saturday, I'm going to St. Joseph Abbey. You should come with me if you can get off work. And fortunately, I got off work just in time. I met him at the rectory, and we drove over here to the Abbey. And he met with some of the seminarians for Biloxi, and afterwards, he brought me to Vespers. And that was another one of those just absolutely clear moments of, this is the same thing I thought when I was going to sleep that night, and I thought, I think I'm supposed to be a priest. but I didn't have the knowledge to articulate it. This is that same calling I felt where I didn't know there were Benedictines at that point in my life. So I got in touch with the vocations director and spent almost a year. It was about 10 months before I filled out my application to enter, of really kind of taking the time to be certain that this isn't just a flash moment, that this isn't just my first exposure to religious life and I'm grasping at it. And at the end of that process, like every visit I made to the Abbey, I would spend more and more time with each visit, I became more comfortable, more confident in this sense of calling, not just to Benedictine life, but to Benedictine life here at St. Joseph Abbey. So the more I spent time praying with it, the more I spent time staying at the Abbey, in my private prayer life, I just really felt this sense of peace, of acceptance. Like this is what, through my life, I had been missing, this integrated sense of a vocation as more than just work, more than just a career, where this is what I've been missing. It's a way to incorporate this faith I always knew I had into my life and into my vocation. And so I filled out my application and was briefly sidetracked because I filled out my application in December of 2019, and then that following spring, I was told, you're accepted, but COVID had come to America, and they said, you're accepted, but we want to make sure that we'll allow you to enter safely. So after a month or two of communication with the vocations director, with the community, I entered, and even throughout my novitiate, throughout my temporary profession, continuing to dive deeper into this particular expression of the Catholic faith, of this vocation as God's calling me here, I continue to feel like, yes, there are challenges for me to grow as a person, as a monk, as a Catholic, but I continue to feel this security that God is calling me here and that God has put this community here, not just for me, but so that I can serve the church, I can serve my confreres, and just whatever I've been doing, whether I'm working in the infirmary, whether I'm working in the soap shop, whether I'm going to class so that I can teach, working on a graduate degree. Everything I do, for work, everything I do in our liturgy, or being able to participate in our liturgy, being able to pray the office with the monks. Continuing to explore this has really reinforced that sense of calling and that sense of completion, that this is where God called me to be.